Y'all, there is a zombie apocalypse happening outside, and no one's talking about it. What is going on? I mean, it feels like we fell asleep at the wheel for 15 years only to wake up to the fact that our beliefs, our personality, our lives are entirely dictated and controlled by these LEDs and algorithms. Actually, wait, let me just show you the absurdity of our predicament by just photoshopping the phones out of those people's hands. Be honest with me here. If you saw one of your friends hunched over like this, what would you think? Right? You'd probably say to yourself, they're horribly depressed. And yet, this kind of slumped over body language is completely normalized in today's society. Like, apparently, as long as you're on your smartphone, you can maintain this fetal position for 8 to 10 hours a day without any kind of consequences or social repercussions. You know what I think the real issue is? I think it's because we're all doing it. Like, we're all cracked out together on our smartphones, which gives us this illusion that what we're doing is totally fine. It's not fine, actually. Like, these magic wands pose a real threat to our overall health and sanity. Luckily, there are some really simple solutions for mitigating your compulsion towards using this little black mirror friend of yours. By the way, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Ethan Hill. I'm an international yoga teacher, writer, and entrepreneur, helping seekers like yourself adjust to the new earth. Now, normally, I'm here to help you liberate your mind from the endless maze of conditioning and programming that society has more or less thrust upon. But in this video, my intention is even simpler. I'm gonna give you a few practical tools and techniques for breaking free from your phone addiction. Ones that hopefully you've never even heard of. All right, without further ado, let's break you out of that matrix that you built for yourself. All right, bad news first. You are a phone addict. I am a phone addict. All of us that cannot complete simple errands without having to have our phone nearby are addicts, right? We have to admit that to ourselves or else we'll never get clean. Now, before we dive into any solutions, I want to make one thing super clear, okay? It's not just the dopamine from the social media likes, from the outrageous headlines, or even the colorful displays of your smartphone that you're addicted to. No. You're also hooked on the electromagnetic frequencies, or EMFs, that your devices emit. In other words, you've become so accustomed to these EMFs oozing in and around you, from the Wi-Fi saturating your home to the cell phone towers lining the streets, that to successfully unplug from them all is actually going to create some pretty severe withdrawal symptoms for you. As a personal anecdote, in case you're interested, I once decided to live in a shack in the woods by myself for 28 days. There was no electricity, there was definitely no internet, and let me tell you, I went berserk. For the first 10 days that I was there, no joke, I would pace around the cabin and field that I was in for hours at a time. Like, I could not sit still for more than 20 minutes. I remember feeling like my bones and nervous system were like deeply disturbed, almost itchy. Now, at the time, I assumed that these symptoms were a result of me unplugging from the information landscape and no longer having, my dopamine receptors touched every second. But I later realized that these symptoms were made more severe by the fact that I had unplugged from all electromagnetic frequencies altogether. I'm telling you all this just as a warning, okay? If you want to get clean from your screen, then you're gonna feel uncomfortable. Actually, I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it for you. You are going to have to slog through some pretty intense cravings in order to get to the other side of this addiction. That is just the reality of your situation. All right, so now that we're all on the same page, right? We all admit that we're technology addicts and we understand that it ain't gonna be easy to get off the juice. What do we do? By far the best solution, but one that you're admittedly not gonna like very much, is the solution that all Alcoholics Anonymous members use in order to get sober. Abstinence. No using your phone in moderation. No just on the weekends, no bedtime hours. Cut the problem out of your life so completely that you don't even have the option of using it. But I can never get rid of my phone, Ethan. I need it for work. I need it to keep in contact with friends. I'd be so bored without it. Careful. The addict inside of us uses a lot of excuses in order to justify its behavior. Besides, there are some pretty solid alternatives to the smartphone. The nothing phone, the light phone, the Nokia. All these devices have been tested pretty thoroughly by a number of tech channels, with surprising success and acclaim. Of course, if this is too big of a leap at this point, then I invite you just to consider the next step down: deleting your media accounts altogether. Notice I said media accounts, not just media apps. Instagram, Reddit, Netflix, New York Times, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, even YouTube. Shoot, I won't take it personally. If you'll indulge me, I want to linger on this particular solution for a little bit longer because I think deleting your media accounts is actually a very promising solution for you getting free from your phone addiction. Remember when I said that I lived in a cabin in the woods by myself? This actually wasn't an isolated incident. As part of my monk-ish lifestyle, I occasionally take sabbaticals from all doing. 10 days here or there to completely unplug from the material world and recharge my spiritual batteries. Now, I've done something like this about 10 times now, so approximately 100 days in total silence. And each time I do, I am more and more convinced that these media apps and phones are the equivalent of poison to our minds. And that's not an exaggeration either. I mean, the clarity of mind one can attain from spending days just meditating alone is immediately, and I mean immediately, superseded by the chaos of the internet. I mean, really, truly. I'm convinced at this point that there is no healthy way to interact with these platforms in their current build. It's kind of like trying to say that you can be healthy on an all-processed food diet. Like, sure, I guess it's better than starving, but it is not going to lead itself to any kind of flourishing. In other words, no matter how strong you think your mind is, you cannot outright beat these media apps or phones at their own game. As they exist today, as long as you're using them, there's always going to be some part of you, large or small, that's fighting off the urge to get sucked down rabbit holes or into echo chambers. That is, you'd probably be just better off avoiding the hassle and getting off of them altogether. Because in today's big tech world, it is just battle after exhausting battle, just trying to keep your sanity and alignment intact. Now, okay, luckily it really isn't all or nothing here. There are some very simple solutions that you can employ to lessen your reliance and compulsion on your phone without chucking it into a lake or driving over it with your car. Let's dive into some of those solutions now. Beyond ditching your phone for a break or leaving the game altogether, there are some very easy wins when it comes to curbing your phone addiction. But fortunately or unfortunately, nearly all of those solutions require that you first learn how to outsmart or overcome your base animalistic instincts. Quick scientific context, and then I'll give you some suggestions. Based on billions of years of evolutionary pressure, your nervous system now prioritizes bright and novel features in its environment, like the plump fruit hanging on the tree, or the luminous wildfire, or the iridescent venomous snake. This is one reason why your eyes love to feast upon the glowing polychromatic screen of your phone, laptop, or TV, and why it's so hard to ditch them. Similarly, because of how our species grew up in these small, tight-knit tribes, your brain is now wired to prioritize news that makes you feel either endangered or somehow involves your social status. And that is why you fall for clickbait headlines or feel compelled to constantly check notifications. Bright, colorful, upsetting, status boosting, pleasure inducing, or bias confirming. Once you understand that these primal impulses are what you are really battling and not necessarily your own weak discipline or purity, that's when you can begin to defend yourself. Many of you probably already have this feature turned on, but if not, I highly suggest it. It's called screen time. It's actually built right into your iPhone. The idea is simple. You set the time you'd like to spend on an app or set of apps, and your phone will then monitor and restrict your usage of it, locking you out when your time is up. Now, yes, it is comically easy just to bypass this setting by unconsciously quickly plugging in your phone code and then ignoring the time limit. But once in a while, maybe every 10 times, maybe every 100 times, you will actually listen to it and you'll get off your damn phone and the setting will have been worthwhile to set up. To turn it on, simply go to Settings, Screen Time, and then Set Up Downtime. From here, just adjust this setting to fit your current phone goals and make the password something complicated or encoded like 7993 so that you can say to yourself out loud, stop what you're doing as you type it in. All right, check this one out. Be mindful of what happens in your mind as I slowly desaturate the video and I continue talking. Do you feel internally how it's now slightly less appealing to watch? Remember, bright, vivid colors signal to your little monkey brain that either A, there's some fresh fruit right there, B, that's a poisonous creature, or C, hey, that's something new, aka your nervous system evolved to look at things that are colorful for longer and with more interest. Therefore, and this is something that I personally use to limit my own screen usage, if you make your phone duller, make it less colorful, it will make it less appealing, which will then translate into a reduced time usage on it. For iPhone users, simply go to Settings, Accessibility, Display and Text Size, and then Color Filters. Or you can just search for color filters in the search bar. That's fine too. From there, simply flip the switch on and reduce the grayscale intensity to 1/4 or 1/5 of its original settings. Couple notes. If you screenshot something on your phone, it will technically still hold its color when you send it to others or when you review it at a later time without the filter. Remember, it's your screen that's been affected, not the data itself. And second, if you want the ability to quickly toggle this setting on and off, i.e. to resaturate your screen while looking at a certain picture or while video calling a friend, go to Settings, Accessibility, Accessibility Shortcut, and then tap the Color Filters option. Now, all you have to do is triple tap your iPhone lock button to activate or deactivate the filter you set up. Ta-da! All right, everything I'm about to say rests upon this one simple principle. Because you are human, you have finite willpower. And because you have finite willpower, you really can only say no to a particularly bad habit or addiction for so long before your self-control gives out and you end up on yet another binge of the thing. For instance, every single time you see the TikTok app icon or the Clash of Clans or the Gmail, you are presented with a simple yet mostly subconscious choice. Do I engage with this app right now or not? Unfortunately, even if you resist the temptation 99% of the time, over the course of a long day and the hundreds of times that you're checking your phone during it, it becomes increasingly more difficult to say, nah, not right now, simply because you're a more mentally and physically drained. That said, if you can somehow intelligently design your user experience on your phone to minimize these temptations, well, then you won't have to rely on willpower. And because you don't have to rely on willpower, well, that's immediately going to translate to a reduced time spent on your phone. Delete the apps that you're most addicted to from your home screen. Delete, in this case, does not necessarily mean to uninstall, although uninstalling is great. Delete just means to hide the app from yourself so that you don't even have the option of clicking on it. For iPhone users, this is really simple. Just long press the app you want to hide and click Remove App, and then Remove from Home Screen. Personally, I've removed all of the distracting apps from my home screen, and that includes Safari and all the social media apps and banking. And believe it or not, the extra step that it takes for me just to search for the app rather than just having easy access right there has reduced my screen time usage by like 10%. Now for you, that could mean blitzing the entire thing and creating an entire blank home screen so that you have to search for each individual app whenever you want to use it. Resistance is going to make it much easier for you not to spend so much time on your phone. Or it could just mean getting rid of the big stuff that you know you're addicted to and that you know you need to unplug or separate yourself from. Despite what you tell yourself, it is not necessary in order for you to receive notifications as to who liked your post and the breaking news that's occurring from the White House. Homo sapiens have survived for millions of years without being notified about what's happening on the other side of the globe by humans that are completely estranged to us. You can go a few hours or days without it. Believe me, if the news is that important, you will somehow find out about it. For iPhone users, go to Settings and then Notifications, and then go app by app by app, turning off all of their notifications. For myself, and this is no exaggeration, I have every single app's notifications turned off except for text messaging, phone calls, and calendar or to-do reminders. The peace and quiet that I experience from my phone not pinging me every 5 minutes is well worth missing the so-called important things. The third strategy is to keep your phone off as often as possible, right? Before bedtime, until you've completed your morning routine, when you're actually trying to get shit done at work. I practice this myself. You can expect more or less on the weeknights that my phone will be off at 7:30 p.m. and will remain off until I finish a few undisturbed hours of work in the morning. Yes, you could technically use the do not disturb feature or airplane mode instead of turning it all the way off, but I found that whenever I do this, I just tend to ignore it and get back on my phone. As yet another reminder, you are trying to set up your phone such that you don't even have to rely on your scrawny, pitifully weak willpower to get you through tough decisions. These trillion-dollar behemoth tech companies have hired elite psychologists and engineers in order to hijack your attention and be as addictive as humanly possible. Do not play their game. You will lose. Turning your phone all the way off, however inconvenient, keeps you from using it for longer and longer stretches of time until your brain chemistry adjusts itself to using it less frequently. Next is how you can set up your real world to reduce your screen time usage. Whether you know it or not, every single time you see a phone in your environment, or even a phone charger or TV, a subtle cascade of thoughts is then set off in your mind. And those thoughts consist of things like, oh, wonder if anyone texted me, or maybe I should peep the weather. That's why you would be wise to set aside a small space in your home, preferably out of the way of everything else, that your devices can live in when they aren't being actively used. Or conversely, choose a few spaces in your home that are completely technology-free, sanctuaries of sort. For me, I almost always charge my phone in a different room, especially while I'm sleeping. If I need to wake up at a certain time, well, then I just use an old-fashioned digital watch as an alarm clock. Seriously, it works wonders. That way I don't have to check my phone in the mornings and I don't even get caught on the thing because it's not even there to look at. Last but certainly not least, and this is critical for all healing, not just getting sober from your iPhone, is to reconnect with nature and the planet. That's right. Reducing your phone addiction can be as simple as getting outside and going for a walk without any kind of electronics. No phone to check maps. No earbuds for the latest podcast. No Apple Watch or Whoop strap to track your steps. Just you and the breeze. But Ethan, what if I live in the big city? There's not a lot of nature around here. That comment just proves to me that you aren't paying attention. Every crack in the sidewalk has weeds growing out of it. Each tree in your neighborhood is pulsating and breathing. Every dog, squirrel, and insect are all contributing to the masterful intelligence that is Mother Earth. Pay attention to what is alive, not dead. And then watch how doing that calms your nervous system and relaxes the mind such that the next time you interact with your phone, it has much less of a draw on you. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this video and got something useful out of it. If you have any clever strategies that you use to cut back on your phone screen usage, let the community know in the comments below. Sobriety from the phone is hard, and we're all in this together, so your wisdom is gonna go a long way. If you wanna keep up with my latest thoughts and events, make sure to subscribe to my free weekly Body, Mind, Soul newsletter. It's a popular email that I send out each Sunday with suggestions for how to make the most out of your physical body, advice on navigating life's challenges, quotes from greatest histories, and my upcoming virtual yoga classes and workshop schedule. The link is in the description below. Otherwise, thank you for liking and subscribing. Helps me out a ton. Make sure you check out this next video, and I will talk with you soon. Peace.